Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively uncommon Psychic-type Pokemon Flittle, the Frill Pokémon, and its relatively rare evolution Espathra, the Ostrich Pokémon. While they might look a bit bizarre to some, and not often among the friendliest of beasts to encounter, the members of the Flittle family are still unique birds that can make do with the strange powers they possess in the wild to make survival possible.
Flittle have yellow bill-shaped bodies with an orange rounded underside, a pair of grey and pink striped leg nubs, and large frills of yellow and pink flesh that wobble around the lower torso on a constant basis. They further have a pair of wing-like white flesh tops at the top of their head, and the face has a small purple-lipped mouth, large pale blue eyes with 3 thick eyelash markings each, and a purple triangle pointing downward on their forehead. Their evolved form, Espathra, have a much more traditional bird-like form similar to that of an ostrich, with much longer striped legs with 3 talons each, 2 white ones in the front and a purple one in the back for stability, while their bodies are mainly covered in orange feathers on top of their wings and white triangle markings, a base of white feathers on their underside, and a series of frill-like feather mats that transition from yellow to white in color as they spread out behind them. In addition, they have a long orange or purple striped neck and a semi-rounded head with a mat of white feathers on top like a bowl cut, a purple face and beak, and white ringed eyes with light blue sclera.
At a young age, the members of the Flittle family have incredibly simplistic forms for chicks of their age and take a long time to mature from a juvenile state, and thus have been forced to develop and use psychic power to defend themselves within the wild.
As juveniles, they have no need to walk at their size, instead using the frills on the inside of their bodies, which contain a series of tiny telekinetic organs that generate power as they are waved about like a skirt in the wind, to generate power that allows them to levitate about half an inch off the surface of the ground, and even fly in cases when they need to get out of a situation as quickly as possible. This at the very least makes it so these beasts can move at decent speeds in and out of battle and can escape predators fairly easily, but if in danger, Flittle will at least tend to travel in medium to large groups for defense, as while one is rarely enough to drive back a potential predator, having many bodies at once can potentially swing the odds in their favor a little bit. As they mature into adult Espathra, these flightless birds still have frills on the body that allow them to generate psychic power, but they are typically hidden or at the very least disguised to simply resemble feathers to others, making it harder to directly strike them to halt their attacks for a short period of time. Even if this was not the general case, striking these birds can be a chore in and of itself, as these monsters are gifted with long legs that are powered by their telekinetic powers, allowing them to energize their lower limbs and rocket off at a speed of up to 120 miles per hour, outspeeding most other life forms and making it nigh impossible to catch them once they're at full speed.
This potential can be really seen with some specimens, and thus gives them access to Speed Boost as a hidden ability, while they normally can use their psychic powers to root around and find any items an opponent might be holding, and turn having Frisk as a base ability. In addition, while Flittle tend to be more alert as to potential danger and can have Anticipation as a base ability, Espathra can use their own ego as the fuel for the signature Opportunist ability to try and keep a leg up on the competition.
As far as the stats are concerned in the case of Espathra, it can be seen that these beasts, though having access to some potent moves naturally, are not the most efficient combatants when it comes to stats alone, as they're only noteworthy for their stamina and agility, their base HP and speed stats being above average for a fully evolved Psychic-type Pokemon, and thus should be the points of primary focus when raising them. Despite their weak forms, Flittle are known to be highly aggressive towards others if they are disturbed, and especially if they have their food stolen. These little creatures will fly around wastelands and other desolate locations in search of berries for sustenance, and they tend to hoard as many as they possibly can so they can limit the number of trips they have to take outside the safety of their nests, again a consequence of the limited combat attributes. However, if their nests are invaded by any sort of force and their berries are stolen, these beasts will use their decent sense of smell to follow the scent trail of whoever stole the food and pursue them mercilessly to exact whatever sort of revenge they can. Of course, for them this rarely ever amounts to much, as only young birds like them are generally in any sort of danger, but they can still fight back with decent telekinetic power when needed, so it cannot be said that they are totally defenseless or unable to mount any sort of significant offense against attackers. However, they are also prone to biting off more than they can chew, so to speak, and thus must be watched carefully in order to make sure they don't get in the face of an opponent that they have no hopes of winning against.
Aside from giving these creatures a noteworthy boost to their stats and overall mobility, developing into fully fledged adults grants Espathra access to some unique powers and moves that can make them more than worth taking notice of.
For one thing, evolution enables Espathra to learn the Feather Dance, Drill Peck, Dazzling Gleam, Psychic, and Last Resort moves, giving them access to the serious offense they need to survive more readily, as well as immediate access to a signature attack known as the Lumina Crash attack. This potent move uses the special kind of psychic energy these birds are known for generating to create a blinding flash of telekinetic energy from their eyes. Not only is the attack fairly strong, but it's guaranteed to seriously disrupt the mental state of anyone directly exposed to it, critically lowering their special defense stat about twice as much as normal in the process. This pairs well with the overall personalities, as while they might look incredibly beautiful and elegant, these creatures are in fact quite vicious in temperament and will not relent a beat down on someone else until they feel they have defeated them as thoroughly as possible. They further tend to have a mindset of trying to do whatever the opposition does better than them as part of their signature opportunist ability, which allows them to readily copy any positive stat changes that are made to their opponent in the midst of combat, making these birds tough nuts to crack if they can't be taken out with strong offenses quickly.
I must say that these creatures really have a gorgeous look to them, incredibly vibrant and colorful, but you're unlikely to catch me anywhere near them if I have a choice in the matter. While they might not exactly be the strongest of creatures starting out, these little buggers can be annoying as heck for the penchant for swarming around in large numbers, and I would really rather not get caught in the middle of that. Even if they might not be very bird-like in appearance at that state, they can still be a nuisance to others and are best swatted away if at all possible. Their evolved forms are an even worse issue for me, as not only do they tend to have a fairly nasty temperament, but they can make terrific use of their specialty skills and attacks to make short work of anything that doesn't resist or is otherwise immune to their best offenses. While I will give respect to them for the looks and the devastating Lumina Crash attack, I otherwise can't stand to be within a few feet of these nasty birds. But if you can handle their attitude, they can still make for potent partners if they're raised carefully.
A bit on the silly side to some, and an eyesore to those that can't handle their colors, the members of the Flittle family are at the very least curious creatures that can make good use of what power they have to make life hectic for others. They might not be able to get much to work with when not evolved at the proper time, but the wait can still be worth it if you need to take down a defensive tank of some sort with little issue.
Just do yourself a favor, and don't try to mount them like a Dodrio when they are fully evolved for a fast ride. They rarely appreciate having any passengers on them, and even if they do get running, there's a high chance you'll just get bucked off when they blast off like a roadrunner in a cartoon without warning.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.